Hello, Internet. My name is James, and I produce and DJ music under the alias DJ Mita. Today, we are looking at a song that I recently released called Wait For You. This song was created on a day that I had off of work. I produced and created the song within one day, and I was extremely happy with it, so I decided to release it. The song came out on December 11th, 2020, and you can find the song on Spotify, Apple Music, basically anywhere you can stream music, I should be there. You can also watch the music video that I also created, which you can find on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DJMitaTV. All right, so enough with that. Let's kind of get into the breakdown of this song. I personally enjoy watching these kind of like behind the scenes videos because one, it's really fascinating seeing other people's process, and two, I generally learn something along the way. So hopefully this video will either inspire you or educate you in some way. So I created this song using Ableton. That is my music creation software of choice. And the core and kind of backbone of this song really lies in the chord progression, and that's what kind of starts off the song, so I will isolate that. So pretty pleasant sounding chord structure. I've used it in a few like variances throughout the song, which we'll kind of get into. The other key component of this song is the vocal stabs, which I will isolate that too. Wait for you, wait for you there, wait for you, wait for you there. So a few little patterns, and that was created using this wonderful plugin called Arcade, and that is from Output. And this is their Hooked module, which contains these great little vocal stabs. Obviously, some of these I didn't use. But, yeah, it really helps drive the song. So we're introduced to the vocals and the chord progression right at the start. And kind of the breakdown of the song, I use those same chords, but instead of like a long sustained chord, which you can hear here. Actually, let's isolate that. For the second part, I created more of like a stab. So which kind of gave a bit of variance between the first and second part. And I've used a kick to build kind of a simple like riser or build up. The other element that's introduced here is this arpeggiator, which I use later in the song. But I kind of hint it at the beginning. And then classic kind of thing to do in a drop is to cut everything just before the song drops in again. I have a few kind of like classic 909 crashes. And then we get into the kind of main drop of the song, or at least the first drop. I use those same chords, but I've kind of staggered them into like almost like a ska, like reggae. Which combined with the drums just really gives it that like bounce. And the drums are nothing special. I originally started programming my own drums, but it just wasn't working. So I found this loop that I kind of cut up and made it my own. Has this really nice like garage kind of swing to it, which is nice. And the first part of the drums kind of feature no like open hat, but then as we get to the second part of the drums, you can really hear that open hat. Which kind of adds some variance in the progression as we kind of move along. So I use little bits of the vocal stabs. Again, just kind of carry that theme through. And then Wait For You, because it's the title of the song. Wait for you. Wait for you there. Luckily, in the sample, Wait For You is, she says it in kind of two different phrases, which is really nice because it didn't get so repetitive. Wait for you. Wait for you there. And then the second half of this like first little drop, I created this little melody, which lives kind of in the higher end. And I was really happy with this little melody because it kind of follows a lot of the song where it kind of rises up and falls down and rises up and falls down. So combined with everything else, really pleasant sounding, and that melody gets introduced a little bit later, as we'll kind of discover that. So right after that first build up to, we're introduced to a bass. Which is a very like typical organ, like speed garage kind of bass. I wanted to kind of pick from a lot of the music that kind of influenced me growing up, especially in kind of the house and garage style. It's kind of sprinkled all throughout the song. So that all together. And then that leads to our second breakdown. where again, I kind of teased that arpeggiator at the beginning. But instead of it cutting out, I just let it run for this like second drop. The drop is very similar to the first, except we don't have any chords, and I've also introduced a second kind of bass sound, which is a bit deeper, a bit harder. And you'll hear it right here. Again, kind of teasing it on the build-up. I wanna get away. I wanna get away. So that new bass sound kind of overtakes the old one, just to give it a bit of variance. And then I've only kept in a little bit of the vocal stabs. But I took out the wait for you so the other two elements could kind of stand out a bit more. And I wanted to slowly bring the chords back in, but I didn't want to just like slap them into the second half of this drop. So what I did was I took that chord progression and I basically staggered each of the notes in kind of an ascending and descending pattern, which again kind of follows a lot of the melody and some of the other stuff that I've created. So you can hear that here. And then at the very end, I introduced the last two chords as kind of their more full sustained. And then that leads into the next breakdown, which essentially replicates the beginning of the song. So it's kind of like, okay, we're coming back home, but I wanted to add something a little different, so I introduced these horns. Which again, it's like adding a little bit of spice onto something that you've already kind of heard before. And then that leads to kind of the last drop. Which allowed me to bring the melody that we had in the first drop. Instead of leaving it to the second half, it's now brought right to the front as kind of a, oh, remember that melody that you heard earlier? It's now right here. And the other difference, in the first drop, we use because the chords are kind of comprised of two instruments, I only used this kind of like Rhodesy sounding electronic piano, whereas the second or the last drop has both. Also, very subtly, you can hear those horns in the background as little stabs. Very subtle, but it's there. And then that leads to just kind of a little outro. I wanted to build a little outro, so if I'm DJing this song, it gives me an opportunity to mix something else in. I kept the bass line in so that it would blend with another song, that if it just started with drums, that bass line could kind of mix into that. It also gave me the opportunity to EQ out the bass if I didn't need that bass line in from a DJ standpoint. And yeah, that's essentially the song. I think creating this song, what I learned most was that you can really do a lot with just a limited amount of sounds. And it really is key on when you introduce them and how you introduce them. And also using them as little teasers earlier in the song, but then kind of reintroducing them later on in the song. And I think this is really going to shape my music making going forward, because I learned a lot creating this one song and just how effective it was. On the surface, it seems very simple, but what I was able to create with such a limited palette, I guess, if you want to call it that, was really effective. So yeah, that kind of concludes my little breakdown. Go stream the song. Like I mentioned, it's available on Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal and Amazon and anywhere else that you stream music. It should be there. If you enjoy this video, let me know. I think for my own sake, I'd like to kind of do this every time I release a piece of music, because I find it super fascinating to kind of analyze what I've created and learn a bit myself, which I've definitely done by doing this. So yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.